Hey everybody, what is going on? I hope everybody is having a great weekend. We put up that boat video, and man, surprisingly enough, it got a lot more exposure than I thought it was going to. The boat was always a cool project. We had a lot of fun doing that thing. We weren't really racing a bunch then when we did that, so we were able to focus a lot of attention building that boat. I had a lot of guys ask about it still. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another boat video, but I'm gonna explain everything about it, how we put the thing together, show a lot more footage of how it was built, the motor stuff, parts of how it was assembled, how I did a lot of the, there was oil coolers in there. There was special oil thermostats that would regulate the temperature, because you didn't want the oil temperature to be too cold. You didn't want the oil temperature to be too hot. Along with that, there was ways of regulating water pressure to the engine because it used water pressure from the drive. So a lot of stuff there was tricky. But aside from that, like I said, I will do another video for you boat guys that did enjoy it and explain more how we got that thing to work, because there is a lot of guys that are interested in it. And I haven't really explained, I haven't gone into too much detail of what we did to really put that thing together and get it to work. Granted, I'm not gonna say everything we did, because there was years and years and years of trial and error to get that thing running. And if we ever decide to build one again, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I know exactly how I'll make it better. But today's video is gonna be about our AE86. So we got some updates going. I've been working on the car, trying to chip away at this thing, and I wanted to show you guys what we have been doing. So in one of the last videos you guys saw, we had this thing on the ground. We actually took it outside, took some pictures of it before we went to PRI in December. I wanted to show some of the guys over there the car on the ground. It hasn't been on the ground in years. So it was a big step for me. We were able to put the doors on it, check all the fitment with all that stuff. So what we did when we got back was we started kind of mocking up the front of the car. I even put fenders on it. The fenders that we had before on the car were lengthened. So what we did was we cut them here down the middle. We added, I want to say 4 inches to the fender. The chassis got lengthened 7 inches. So if you look here, you could see this was the original mount. This was the mount, how much further we lengthened the front wheels. So I want to say it was 7 inches. What I did was I only did 4 in the fender because I didn't want the fender to look too retarded being that long. So what I did was I had the front of the wheel was kind of pushed up into the fender well, just to, that one, the illusion there wouldn't have looked so weird as much as you would have been if you would have tried to add 7 inches to this fender. So when we did that, a lot of things changed up here that I wasn't sure if this front cap was even going to fit. So if you look closely, this is the factory GTS front spoiler. There was tubes that came out of here that used to mount the front end, because granted the front end was 4 inches further forward. So I put this, presented it, realized, all right, the tubes that are here are not going to work. So we had to cut that off. There was some tow hook that was here that was all bent. There was another bar here that was bent. So we chopped all that off. I have to grind all this smooth, which is a pain in the butt. I hate doing it. That's the worst part with this car, and all the bars you had to chop off. If you look there, you can see where some of these, I got into it and I ground all these down, but there's still some more work I have to do here. So I wanted to show you guys, we got some motor mounts made. So we got the motor exactly where we wanted it. We positioned it, there. I kind of locked it in place, and I made these motor mounts. I was going to make mounts out of steel, and then I said, man, you know what? I'm just going to make them out of aluminum. I probably overkilled them a little bit much as far as strengthening them. I probably just could have, I don't know. I didn't want this to bend, so I reinforced it with this bracket. I didn't want this bracket to kind of wobble back and forth. These mounts were already here. So what a lot of guys do is they'll just take them out like this, and they'll come to like the chassis right here, weld a chromoly, maybe flat plate, bolt it that way. I probably could have done that and chopped these off. I don't know. I figured this was here already. I'm just going to use them, Now that I think about it, well, actually over here, see, we wouldn't have had space to do that. So that was just not going to work on this side. So whatever. Either way, I did it that way. I took some measurements where the dry sump's going to go. The dry sump pump is going to mount right here. If you could see, we got an oil pan down in there as well. And everything should clear, So we had this intercooler. Not sure if we're going to use this. We might. but it looks like everything should fit for the most part. We bought this gas tank, and it was a little too high because that was my other concern. If you look here, I had to be sure that, you know, the height of everything was going to fit. So originally, this gas tank was 15 inches high. So what I did was, you could see right there, of course, you buy things and you have to modify the hell out of them. I chopped the gas tank around the middle, and I took out about 2 inches from the tank, 2.5 inches. Along with that, the gas tank was square like you see here, and it wasn't going to fit here. So I cut this whole corner out, I put a flat plate there, and I welded all that back into place. So to me, this looks like this is going to work. I have to probably get the intercooler a little bit higher. I might tilt it at an angle. I don't know. I might get one a little bit smaller. I'm not 100% sure yet what I'm going to do. I have some dummy injectors coming in from HPT. I want to say thanks to Eric, who got me those injectors just so I could present them and start, you know, any car I need to mount HPT injectors on, or AFIS injectors, excuse me. I can make that work, because what happens with this intake manifold, if you look here, when you get the plug inside of here, those injectors are so big. I'll shoot another video once I get them, but it's really tight to get everything in there. So I want to make sure I have the injectors and make sure all that fits, in case I just have to move this rail forward just a little bit to add some more clearance for the plug when I get it in there. But nonetheless, like I said, with what we have here, gas tank should fit, dry sump tank should fit. I did think about maybe moving the dry sump tank from here to back over here. A lot of guys put the dry sump tank in here as well. That could be another option. Since the dry sump pump will be here, you could add oil here. I don't know. I got to really decide what I'm going to do once I get the pump mounted. The pump is on the way. I'm going to make a mount for all that to grab the entire front of the motor and figure out if I want to leave the tank here or move it back there. Then I could probably center the fuel tank if it matters. If it doesn't, I don't know. Either way, I'm going to see what I do. I'm also trying to figure out what turbo I'm going to run, so I could mock that up and then put the turbo where it's going to be, and then figure out the intercooler piping. So basically, I can't really mount the intercooler until I know where the turbo is going to go, so all this flows the way I want it to flow. On this car before, the exhaust used to come out at the bottom of the fender. I don't know if I'm going to do that again. You know, a lot of guys are coming out of the hood because they want to keep all the exhaust basically away from the tire as much as possible. So a lot of like the Honda guys, luckily for them, the exhaust is on that side. Problem with us is the exhaust is here and driver's compartment is right there. Driver's seat's right there. So I can't really just pop out here, even though I have seen some of the Hondas do that, but I'd rather not. If I can, maybe I can come out and turn it, you know, and give it that angle where it would shoot this way, because I don't want to come out of the fender up top, because if I do that, the problem is when you want to pull the front cap off, what do? You know, I'd like to bullhorn it or come up. So that's, if I shot straight out, I don't want to do that. I kind of want the downforce. So I don't know. I'm still kind of torn there as well. So with that also, we got the material to finish the intake manifold. That is going to go there. That's where I'm going to cut it and radius, you know, some of the edges. That's going to go for the intake. I want to get the throttle body. The window that was here, I took off because we're not going to use the window that was here. We're going to actually use like a tinted glass. So if you look over here, since I pulled the window out, it was a perfect fit. What I'm going to do is trace this onto this new piece of Lexan. Now, the window I got is not much darker. If you look there, it's slightly tinted, you know, compared to that. So not much of a difference, just a slight tint. So I'm going to trace this. The reason why I'm going to do this is because I need to do the latch to hold the window, the top of the door in place. So I got these, I think I showed these before to you guys from Tim Camus. Here are the latches. So they have to go in the actual window that is going to go in the car. So this hook here latches on to this tube that gets welded from this bar. So this mounts on the window, right? And then when you open the window, it pushes back. When you open the door, it pushes back, and then it latches back. That way, locks the door basically in place. Because if you look right now, there's the gap. This is real flimsy. So I couldn't do this. I mean, I guess I could have with the old window. No, not really, because this has to mount on the window. So that's the tricky part, you know? So it has to go on the actual window that you're gonna use. Probably could have did some thin, no, either way, you know? So yeah, you have to use, I prefer to use, get it done one time, the window that's gonna be on the car, weld the tube where I want it, latch the window with the, then this door will basically be done, which is great. I even got nut and bolt that I'm going to put stainless. This used to have rivets here, so I'm probably going to add extra nut and bolts in between all of these. You know, you can see the difference in the gap here. I'll probably put an extra one just to have, you know, just a little bit better look as far as the stainless. There is the water tank also. I have to cut this bracket off and make new brackets. So this water tank is going to go here, which is for the intercooler and the engine. And so again, guys, I'm trying to chip away at this to get this thing, you know, where it needs to be. Now, moving on to this Starlet. We want to get this done. This needs to go. Customer bought it and he's patiently waiting. I have been working on this some. What I had to do was down here, I had to cut some of the existing floor out because I could not get to the bottom of these bars. So I had to chop the floor, which I already did. Get all that done, so that's already done. Next, what I'm gonna do is get the front struts mounted. So I got the jig all set up. I pressed the bearings in for this lower control arm, which is gonna be in there next. We're gonna try and get these struts mounted the next couple weeks. So I'm gonna center up the jig, make sure everything's level, figure out exactly where I want the tire, and make the mount for the top of the strut, which I already have all the steel. I'm gonna make plates that go here. And if you look over here, here are the plates already. Make those plates. Make a plate for the top of the strut. And then this is the tube that's gonna go in there because you have to get the height back. You see, so you'll drop the strut down, you'll put it to ride height, and then from there you gotta get that tube up here to take up the gap from here to that plate. So that's gonna be next. I gotta get the right angle. Again, this lower control arm's already on. And after that, I also bought steel because I need to get the floor over there in steel and the floor here in steel. So we bought all the material for the floor and our firewall. So here's 3 sheets, right? 2 of these sheets will be for the floors of both cars. And then one of the sheets is going to be to start the firewall in this car. So this whole entire firewall has to be covered in steel. So we're going to start working on that as well. So I will keep you guys posted. You know, a lot of little things are happening. You know, both of these cars have to get done. The Starlet's a priority as well. My Corolla's a priority as well, along with all the other work we have going on here. So we're porting some 3S GTE Gen 2 heads. There's one that we're working on. And there is number 2 that we're working on. So just trying to get caught up. You know, it was freezing. I'm sure everywhere else in the US was freezing. Here, man, I came in the shop one day and it was 48 degrees, which is crazy. I couldn't even touch anything in here. It was so cold. And I have heaters going, but it still didn't matter. But either way, just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's happening here. And the boat guys, I will put something together, be a little bit more specific on how we put that boat together. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody. Have a good week.